Welcome to the Wild About Turkey Hunting podcast, a show for those who love the thrill of that first morning gobble, who love sharing the outdoors with a close friend, and for those who never want to stop learning about this awesome ritual we call spring turkey hunting. I'm Josh Davis, I'm wild about turkey hunting, and I bet you are too. Thanks for joining, let's get started. The woods are waking up and the turkeys are talking, but are you saying the right things back? Today we're going to break down wild turkey calling strategies, when to call, when to stay quiet, and how to get gobblers to commit. Joining us is Scott Ellis, a seasoned turkey hunter and a caller who spent years dialing in on what actually works on pressure birds and fired up longbeards alike. Fast, practical, and straight from the field, let's talk turkey. Well, today I've got Scott Ellis with me. He's a highly respected turkey hunter, caller, and instructor known for his deep expertise in turkey calling and hunting strategies. He's a three-time Grand National Turkey Calling Champion, winning in the head-to-head division. He's won several other calling titles throughout many different states. He's also highly regarded for his ability with mouth calls and friction calls. He also serves with the pro staff manager with Woodhaven Custom Calls, and he's associated with a number of other outdoor brands. He's featured on a number of podcasts and hunting shows, including his own YouTube series, Hunt Quest with Scott Ellis. Scott, thanks for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
I'm excited to be here, Josh. I've only got 3 weeks till turkey season, buddy. So, it's always fun to talk about it when you've got just a couple more weeks. We have the convention coming up this week in Nashville, and then 2 weeks after that, I'll be in the woods. So, yeah, it's pretty exciting time here. That's the only thing good about Central Florida is the early turkey seasons. That's it.
That's right. It's nice when you start chopping off months and you're just counting down weeks, and then soon you're counting down days. So I know we're all excited about it. Well, let's jump in and talk about first. One of the things that I've had a lot of people reach out to me as far as listeners to this show is there's a lot of people who are getting into turkey hunting for the first time. Obviously, it's a growing sport and the interest keeps increasing. What are some of the most important turkey calls to learn first, and why do you think that they maybe matter more than some of the others?
I like using the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Get a device that you can learn proficiently on. If you're going to obligate the time to really get good at it, then pick up a mouth call. Get Turkey Tech, the app, or contact me for my DVDs, Mouth Call Magic 1 and 2. If you want to put the time in to get really good and take advantage of the best call you can use, to me is a mouth call, because it's resistant to moisture and it is hands-free operation. If you just want to go turkey hunting and you want to learn the basics, grab a box call. And the two calls, going back to your question, the two calls, man, I'll demonstrate them on a mouth call just because I don't have a box call with me actually, but is the cluck and the yelp. Two of the most simple calls you can learn. More turkeys are killed every year with clucking or cutting, which is a cut is a sharp cluck, or just yelping. The yelp is the main call for the hen, main communication call, mating call in the spring. It's a used call in the fall for gathering hens. It's just one of the major communication calls that elicits a response from a gobbler. And we're going to 101 it, right? So we can just talk a little bit of basic stuff. So this is my Woodhaven New Energy. It's a split V call. And learn to cluck and learn to yelp. And that's going to be the two calls. It's going to seal the deal for you if you're just trying to get in turkey hunt and you want to go out and experience and see what it's about. Clucking is a short popping note. Breath the word kick on your mouth call to the guys and gals out there that are actually able to make a call. Make sound with a mouth call, kick, 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 kick. Breath the word kick. It pops the tongue, shortens the burst of air, and throws that little air on there, and then you chop it off with your tongue with the kick. The at the end of the kick will shut the valve off, which is your tongue, and create the popping sound and create a cluck. And there's your basic cluck. To yelp, to layman's terms, breath the word chirp, 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 and that'll make kind of a rollover yelp. You can go into advanced stuff and breath the word he, and I'll do them both just to show you the basic rollover yelp is breathing the word chirp, chirp, chirp. And you hear the rolling over of the call. Push the air a little hard. It'll get a little more raspy. That's their basic rollover yelp. Now, what I do is I do more of a huffing yelp. I do them both if I'm changing the voice of the hen, and I would run them side by side so you can see the the versatility of a mouth call. But I use my diaphragm more and engage my diaphragm and breath the word he, like a dog panting. And that's when you're engaging and activating your diaphragm and truly pushing air from below instead of expelling it from your lungs, if that makes sense. But I'm going to do my transition yelp, which is a completely different hand. I'm going to breath the word he. And so you go. There's clucking and yelping and some two different types of yelps that you can learn on a mouth call pretty easily and sound like two different turkeys.
Yeah, that's great. Yep. Well, let's talk about some more things. As any hunter, whether they're new or experienced, obviously faces every scenario is a little bit different in the woods with each gobbler. But how do you decide when to call versus sometimes of when to stay quiet? What are some signs maybe a hunter should be listening for in a gobbler's response?
If he's not moving forward is when you really going to change things up. Like that, it's everything we're doing here is what? Trying to get the gobbler to come to us. Everything is contingent upon him stopping that forward momentum. But the caveat to that forward momentum, him progressing forward, is only call enough just to keep him coming. Okay, that's always the temperature taker, if you will. If he's moving forward, yelp at him, give it some time. Don't just burn him down and yelp constantly because he's gobbling, he's closing. You yelp, he gobbles. You give it a few minutes, 5 minutes, we'll call it. You yelp, he gobbles, he's closer. All right, he's coming. I don't have to do much of anything. Just give him a little bit of time and then yelp again. If he's closer, get your gun up and get ready. If that's how easy it happens sometimes, we all know this. If you're turkey hunting longer than 5 minutes, that, you know, and been in the woods for a few years, you get those 2-year-olds, or even sometimes it'll be a 5-year-old that'll run you over with just some yelping. But the key is when you're yelping and then he just hangs up and you yelp again, you check him 5 minutes later and he's still out there and you yelp again, that's when you start escalating your calling. That's when I would generally try to get excited first, and I'll start doing some of that cutting I was just doing, those fast clucks. I'll do that with some excited yelping and then see how he reacts. Once I get a feel for what he does after that, does that break him? Sometimes he'll just, oh, okay, I needed to be reassured this is my sexy girl I'm talking to. And you cut and you yelp, and then he starts to close. And he starts to close. You give him a few minutes, let him work, play cat and mouse, and then cut it and yelp at him again. Oh, okay, he's closing again. All right. Then I'm going to dial it back down. Once I hit him a couple times with some cutting and he's closing, then I might dial it back down and just go back to plain yelping and calm back down a little bit. Then I can save that cutting if I have to get him excited again. If he's just shutting down and not wanting to do much of anything at all and just stays out there 100 yards, that's when I'll go quiet, which silence is gold. And silence is is the best turkey call I think ever invented, is having the discipline to be quiet and not call. It's amazing. It's killed more turkeys than people will ever understand if they could just do it for 15, 20, 30 minutes even. Now, the caveat to that one is you got to be careful, especially if you're hunting Merriams and Rios, because the Merriam and Rio, if you give them too much silence, they'll walk off. They'll lose interest and walk off. So this is more Osceola and Eastern oriented, what I'm talking about. And simply put, curiosity will kill the cat more times with Easterns and Osceolas, just going quiet. If that doesn't work, I'll cluck and purr and whine, and I can demonstrate it. Purr is the rolling, contented sound of a hen turkey. You're fluttering your tongue, and then you're throwing those little softer clucks in it called bubble clucks, and I'll go really quiet and then do this real soft, contented stuff, soft yelps. Stuff like that, and that's just really signifying that maybe you were really loud and sexy and aggressive at first, and then you're just like, he hangs up, and then you're just going to play coy and go, I think I'm going to go back to feeding now. I was all excited for a few minutes because you were showing off and you were gobbling real sexy for me, and I was getting excited, and then, you hung up, so you stayed away from me, so I'm just going to lose interest and go back to clucking and purring and doing those little whines and soft yelps I was just doing. So that's another play time when you gauge your calling down. Here's what I tell everybody. There's so many, we could sit here for hours, and what about if he does this, and what about if he does that? Have about a playbook this deep with 1,000 plays in it. When one doesn't work, and I don't mean rattle each play off like you would in a football game after 4 downs. I mean, try a tactic, and then give it some time. If you're going to do a fighting purr, if you're going to go quiet and do soft yelps and clucks and purrs like I just did, give it 20 minutes. If he doesn't react to that, then you know what? I might do a fighting purr. I might do a Jake yelp. I might just start cutting really aggressive hard at him and trying to get him excited. I may go quiet. All I can tell you is when they stop moving forward is when you have to try something else. And that starts with patience and sitting and probably getting a little quieter. And then it goes all the way into getting aggressive, to gobbling at him, to doing fighting purrs, to calling to the hens. What if he's got hens? We could get into that that's a whole podcast on talking to the hens I could get into. I love doing my dissertation and my theories on talking to hens and not offending hens, but trying to call the hens. So have a big, thick playbook, Josh, and have a lot of different tricks up your sleeve that you can try when one doesn't work. And when all else fails, going quiet is never a bad decision. Just shut up for 20 or 30 minutes and let him work. Again, caveat, Miriam's and Rios are a little more difficult. And Gould's turkeys, if you get to go to Mexico, and Gould's, all three of those, I say they had ADD. You have to call a little bit more, and you can call a little more to those three subspecies. So.
Yeah, especially with Easterns, which spend a lot of time hunting those myself. I kind of find it's almost kind of playing on his ego a little bit. You know, he thinks that he's won you over, and then all of a sudden you just kind of go quiet and you kind of lose interest, like you said, just kind of back to feeding and clucking and purring again, or maybe just nothing at all. And then all of a sudden, even if he stands out there and gobbles a couple more times, if he hasn't broke and come in, I'm just going to sit and wait and let him come sneaking in.
If he starts gobbling on his own without you calling, then he's starting to search. Then he's getting a little bit panicked. He's going, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? And you said it, you're playing on his ego. Everything that we do, when you learn these calls and you get more advanced and you truly learn what each call means and what you're kind of conveying and saying in that language, then you can exploit his emotions. You said play on his ego. I'll say it's exploiting his emotions. You're trying to put him on an emotional roller coaster ride that ends with him trying to come in and see who this girl is that he's trying to hook up with, basically. And so there you go. Exploit the emotions by learning the language of the turkey, and then you'll kill a lot of turkeys. You're going to kill, when you're starting off, learn the basics, but as you get advanced and you learn that language and you do the stuff I'm just doing right now, it's going to be a deal sealer. It'll work when nothing else will work. That's what it boils down to.
In that patience while you're waiting for a bird and maybe you're just going to stop calling completely, how long would you normally sit in the woods without maybe even making a sound, just suspecting maybe he's still out there? There hasn't been a hen, there hasn't been another disruption that's pushed him off. He's just playing hard to get, or he's just playing coy, or he's being cautious, and you think he might come in still at some point. How long would you normally sit and not call at all?
30 minutes, which seems like 30 hours. When you're waiting for him and trying to get him to close. But I'll tell you this, when you do shut it down, be on high alert, especially after that first 5 or 10 minutes of engagement that's ceased, and you cease talking to them after that first beat. Be listening for spitting and drumming. Be listening for spitting and drumming, and be on alert, and don't be moving, because he could gobble on his own and start closing. That's what I told you, that when they're doing that, they're getting panicked. They're really going, oh my heavens, where'd you go? I'm sorry, just kidding. I need to come find you, Or he just comes in or slipping in or quiet, being stubborn, and you'll hear him spitting and drumming, and he'll come in quiet. Just be on high alert. Don't be bobbing your head around and wiggling around. Be looking when you go to that tactic, because more times than not, they're coming in quiet when they do that, when they do close.
Yep. Very good. Yeah, it's a great tactic for killing birds. Well, let's talk a little bit about obviously, as you move through the season, the calling strategies change, and kind of from early spring, when you're dealing with a lot of birds together, you don't really have hens nesting at that point. You might even still have a lot of gobblers working out the pecking order, all of that kind of stuff, all the way to the late season. We have certainly some of our northern states go all the way to the first week of June. How does the calling strategy change throughout the season?
It doesn't. It's the same language. It doesn't. The only thing that changes is the pressure on the turkeys. If you can identify with that you're hunting pressure turkeys, that's when you're going to go to softer stuff, less aggressive, less flamboyant calling, cutting, hard yelping, clucks and purrs, scratching in the leaves. You're going to tone it down. You could, if you go to HuntQuest and see that hunt that actually that bird she killed last year, that Osceola, last week in the season, he gobbled like it was opening day. That bird had some pressure, but not a lot of pressure where we were hunting at. So you notice he was roosted really close to me. And generally when I do a fly down cackle, I'll fly down cackle with a wing and slap it on my arm and give the cackle. Well, he was so close to us, and I did not know how pressured he might have been. I just flew down with a wing. You can hear the audio when I'm behind the camera calling to this turkey, and I just do a fly down with no cackle. And so I was erring on the side of caution there because I didn't know it's late season. He runs an outfitter business, and those birds get hit pretty hard by this time. Chance he wasn't pressured too much, but could have been. So if you watch that hunt, you'll hear me tree call to him a few times. And I didn't get aggressive a little bit until that hen started coming in from the right. She was coming out of that pasture and keying and cutting and answering me, and I was keying back at her. It was a weird conversation because she's cutting and keying in the same 2 or 3 sentences. I'm like, that I believe it was a Jenny, honestly. I think it was a young hen cutting and keying like that. And but he started paying her attention. I think he could see her in that pasture to our right that you can't see on camera. And my point being, I erred on the side of caution, thinking that bird might have been pressured and didn't get too aggressive until the hen started coming. I started talking to her, and he flew down and he wanted to come to us, but then he immediately started to leave and go to hers, and that's when Ashley shot him right in the back of the head. So to answer your question, sorry I got long-winded. Everything I do dictates on my ability to try to figure out if they've been pressured. If I feel like, and then after the fact, it's all dependent on that gobbler. If you could get a bird that gobbles his absolute brains out on public land on the last day of season. Go to YouTube and put Scott Ellis public land and John Applewhite. If you're hearing the name John Applewhite, Scott Ellis public land hunt, last day of the season, in a very, very pressured management area near my house here in Florida, and he gobbled 100 times if he gobbled once, and I had to burn him down and call to him. We had to get in his living room. We moved on him 3 or 4 times, got in tight, and he clucked and purred him to death, and then he closed and came in. We got in his bedroom, in his bubble, if you will, slipping and crawling, and got within probably 80 yards of him in a cypress head. Then you did that. I did the clucks and purrs and whines that I was just doing for you, and that sealed the deal. So that was the last weekend of the season, and he gobbled 100 times, and I called to him pretty aggressively, like I would not normally gobble to a bird that late. So each bird can dictate what you need to give him as well, but the strategy is all the same. Less is more. I start with the basics and only get advanced as much as I need to get advanced. That's my strategy as the season progresses, or whether it's the last day or first day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. And yeah, it's amazing how sometimes on public you have a really chatty bird, and you can go down the road and go to a piece of property that's 300-400 acres, and you're the only one that's hunted all season, and the birds are just super tight-lipped and very cautious. And
the neighbor may have been after him. Who knows, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's bizarre, but just keep that in mind. There's no gimmick to. Okay, so he's gathering hens early season, even prior to season. He gobbles, he gathers hens. Then he gets with the hens. The hens are getting with him. He's got his harem. Every situation is going to dictate that, though. It's not. There's not a way you call as he gathers the hens, and then he's breeding the hens, and then the hens start building and nesting and laying, and then the hens are sitting towards the end, and then they're really roaming. There's no. Just start with a conversation, and then advance the conversation if it needs to be based on what the gobbler's doing or what the hens are doing. If you're trying to call the hens, so there's no. Didn't mean to burst anybody's bubble out there. You don't call one way opening day and then one way on the last day of season. It just depends on that situation and what arises.
Yeah, I think that's great because there's a lot of speculation about how things kind of progress. Obviously there are changes that we experience as a hunter because there's more pressure, more guys in the woods. You have the green up, you hear a lot less than you do maybe at the beginning of the season, things like that. But it's just a good reminder. Turkeys are always just turkeys when they're out there in the woods. Yeah. Yep.
That is exactly right.
Do you want to give us a rundown of, I know you got a handful of calls there in front of you. Anything else that you want to talk about, or just demonstrate a few other calls and maybe showcase a few things that you think would be helpful for hunters?
Well, let's talk about locators, because locators are definitely something that's overlooked, and we're all guilty. I'm guilty of not hitting locator calls before I just start cutting and yelping to try to, if I'm running and gunning, if I'm set up blind calling, I'm usually not going to use a locator quite as much because I'm set up in a position and I'm going to call freely. In a stationary position, nothing wrong with using a locator. You could totally do it. But if you're set up, you're already set up, and you're yelping and cutting, and then he gobbles at you, you're already set up in a good spot. You should be in a place that has visibility from different angles. He gobbles right, you turn right. He gobbles left, you turn left. He gobbles behind you, you have time to reposition. But if you're moving and calling and you have no idea where you're setting up, that's when it's really more critical to use locator calls. Does that make sense? If you're stationary, you know you're set up in a good spot. When you're moving and calling and trying to cover ground, that's when locators become really important. And when you do get him to gobble, then you can use the locators hopefully to move into him to set up where you want to set up and get that location that you want, that visibility you want, the cover you want, by not using hen calls, using owl call, hawk call, or a crow call. I've got all three of our Ninja series. I designed this one. This is the Ninja Owl. We have a Ninja Crow and we have a Ninja Hawk that's being released this year. And the hawk will double as a peacock, a red-shouldered hawk, and a pileated woodpecker. So I love this talk about locators. Use them as much as you can before you sit down on that turkey. Use your locators. An owl call I'll use all day long. I'll use in the morning. It's a great call, especially if you can scream on your owl hooter, and the Ninja Owl will scream, and it'll laugh. It creates all the barred owl sounds. I'll give you a quick run of the 8-note hoot. There's your basic 8-note, and then I'm going to go into a single locate call, which is great in the spring. First light. You hear that a lot, just that single note, and then you listen. And then I'll go into some laughing sequences, which is more advanced, which will get one to gobble whenever just the basic stuff won't. So I'll start low, go into a laugh, and then listen. Then I'll do a scream for you, but we'll laugh sequence here. And then listen. Then you finish with that high, shrill, single note, and then that will sometimes get one to gobble. So I'll do that again for you. And listen. And the scream is just a steady, it's more rare. You don't hear barred owls do it a lot, but it's something that's super successful in getting them to scream, to gobble in the springtime. It's a climbing sound, and you can coyote howl on a Ninja Owl too. You can actually coyote howl and bark on a Ninja Owl, but the scream, the coyotes out west, I don't like to do that so much in the east, and in the northeast, and the southeast, the coyote howl, but it does work great on Miriam's and Riz. So I am struggling with just one ear, buddy, and I am struggling to hear myself and my sound. I hope it's sounding okay, because I am having an issue with my earplug.
It sounds pretty good. I was about ready to shock gobble over on this end.
So here's the Ninja Crow. Ninja Crow, just a great call. You can put air to it if you're not advanced with it, and just make just a basic call. Just blow it with a crow rhythm. But to get advanced, you do what I call is the clearing your throat method. You're getting your uvula to gargle like you're hawking a loogie. Better words, I can't say it any other way. Put that in the call and do it. Just don't hawk the loogie in the call. You can hear the growl, and then add that with some of the basic calls, and that'll jerk will gobble out of one sometimes when the basics won't. So I'll go. Something like that, and then listen. Maybe not get as long as I did, but just then listen, and that's a great call. And then crow calls great all times of the day. They do it at daybreak. They do it all through the day. Great for calling. Good one to gobble for a locator. And then this is the Ninja Hawk, and I'll do the pileated woodpecker first. I just hawked into the call. Try that one more time for you. There you go. There, and then you do the hawk scream is just a. Well, that's a red-shouldered. Red tail is just a scream. And then the peacock lets pressure and the ah. A little higher than a peacock, but makes all kinds of very shrill sounds. Great, loud little call, and it'll do wonders on getting one to gobble. When I don't think either one of those will work just because it's so high-pitched and loud. So hopefully that recorded that and gave it a decent rendition of how effective that little hawk call is. Yep.
Yeah, I like the versatility that you're in that with just one call. You're kind of carrying several different sounds, and when one sound doesn't work, you can try another sound, and you just never know what might get them to just sound off sometime. Yeah, that's right. Good. Back to the crow call, I noticed one of the things, and maybe you agree with this too, when I'm hunting with somebody, I feel like I can go a little bit longer with my crow sequence, but when I hunt by myself, I try to keep it really short because sometimes that bird's
Good
hammering
point.
right on the back end of that, and you're
Yep.
not going to hear it if you're just blowing caw 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 caw. But if I can be with another guy and I can spread out, I can carry on a little bit more and try to get one to sound off, and the other guy can listen.
Yeah, split apart 10 yards. That's a great tactic when you have something really. And I didn't bring a tube call in here, but I do a lot of cutting and yelping on a tube call and gobbling on a tube call if I can gobble and feel I can get away with it. And that's a great one too, because that thing will ring your ears, man. That crow call and that hawk screamer will ring your ears. And if you're too close, like you said, he could gobble during the sequence. And he may not gobble those couple short bursts that you're trying to do by yourself, but if you get 10 yards away from your buddy and have him listen, then he's hearing it while you're doing it, and then he can maybe pick up on that bird gobbling while you're calling. Yeah, it's a good point, man. Good
Yeah,
point, Josh.
we've had a lot of hunts like that where I've been hunting with my dad, and I'll say, "Hey, go stand down there," and I'll be crowing, and he'll point, have heard a gobble, and I never heard it because I was just blowing that crow call.
Right.
Yeah.
For
Yep.
sure.
Just real quick, just as we wrap up, just kind of a question for fun. What's a turkey calling moment that you still kind of laugh about? Something that was just maybe slightly embarrassing, just something that happened that just really stuck with you over the years, or just something that kind of gave you a chuckle as you look back at it?
Oh, well, I'm trying to remember who it was. It was a buddy of mine turkey hunting with me, and I tend to take the lead with most everybody I hunt with. There's a couple guys I hunt with that we double team them. They're very, very proficient callers and hunters as well, and I love double team. But a lot of my buddies I hunt with, they just let me run with it. They just do. If I say, "Hey, hit your paw, you cut with me" or something, they'll follow my lead. And but there are other guys that are totally engaging with me. We're calling like tandem hens, that kind of thing. And there was one time that my buddy had one particular mouth call, and I can't remember I don't think it was even in Florida. And he was calling, or I was calling, giving this turkey everything I had, and he would hardly gobble. He didn't want to close. And I'm like, this stupid turkey, this thing obviously, what is going on here? And he goes, well, let me hit him. I go, well, you hit him, you do the dang thing. And so he was mediocre on a mouth call, but not the best by no means. And he hit that call, and that bird gobbled. And within about 10 minutes, that daggone turkey gobbler ran us over with 3 of his nasty, raspy old yelps from that split V he was running. I'm like, we killed the turkey, and I just shook my head, and I go, well, there you go. You never know what voice or what sound they want to hear. So we still to this day laugh about it. And he picks up and he goes, yeah, them trophies don't mean anything. You ain't that good. I know what it takes to kill a turkey. So that's a funny moment. Yeah.
Yep, that's great. That's fun. Well, before we go, for a hunter who wants to expand his knowledge, kind of sharpen his calling skills, I know you mentioned at the beginning when we started, but just kind of tell listeners about the other tools that you have available and where they can get them.
Absolutely. I have 2 DVDs, Mouth Call Magic 1 and 2. Used to have a website, but just didn't have enough time to manage it, and kind of deactivated it. But you can order them if you find me on Facebook, or you find me on Instagram or TikTok, or I think that's it. Even YouTube, actually. There used to be a link on YouTube on my old instructionals, but I have 2 DVDs they're $20 a piece, and they will put you going in the right direction with mouth calls. It's all on mouth calls. And like I said, message me, hit me up. I have Venmo, PayPal, all that stuff. If you'd like to try the DVDs, they're awesome. I'm very proud body of work that I've created, 2 of them. And one is more beginner, 2 has got 3 different cuts with 3 different hen yelps and all the basic sounds. So the Mouth Call Magic 2 is definitely the more advanced DVD. I'm getting long-winded. Check out HuntQuest on my YouTube channel, HuntQuest with Scott Ellis. Tons of instructional tips on there. Over 100 hunts, specifically, or more specifically, turkey hunting, but there's some deer and some quail and some ducks and a couple hog hunts. There's all kinds of hunting, but it's centralized around turkey. And but HuntQuest with Scott Ellis on YouTube. On TikTok, I'm Scott_C_Ellis. Instagram, Scott_C_Ellis. There's a bunch of other Scott Ellises in this world that if you Google it, don't put turkey caller with my name. There's a director, there's some famous vascular surgeon, there's all these people. I'm like, so that everybody says, why do you put Scott C. Ellis? I go, so I can differentiate myself. So Scott_C_Ellis for Instagram and TikTok. My fan business page, if you will, is HuntQuest with Scott Ellis on Facebook, and that one, we do some engagement on that one as well, and go live. Like you said, I'm going to do that some more in the coming weeks before turkey season takes off here, and I'm too busy to worry about going live. But I used to do it on my fan page a lot. We get 300 or 400 people talking about turkeys. It was hard to keep up with, a lot of fun. So, and I think that's it, my friend. I have an app, Turkey Tech with Scott Ellis. It's on the Apple iStore. How do you say it? The Apple Play Store.
Yep, the App
And
Store. Yeah.
the App Store, and then the Google on the Android side is Google Play. But it's Turkey Tech with Scott Ellis, and it's an app it's a great app. It's $5, and you can record yourself. You can compare your calling them to me, and it's got recordings of audio of wild turkey. It has instruction. It has some hunts that I go on and explain what I've done. $4.99, cheaper than a cappuccino, man. And it's got more info. If you can watch this app and engage this app for a couple of evenings before you've never turkey hunted before, and you go out, and you'll have an idea about how to make some sounds and call to a turkey a little bit if you just take a couple hours with the app. It's really good. It's making turkey hunting a lot easier for the masses that have no idea how to do it. Like myself, when I started reading magazines, I didn't have anybody to take me turkey hunting. So take a kid hunting and take somebody that wants to learn that hunting. If you're a seasoned hunter, take those guys and gals and kids hunting that want to learn it and help them become a little bit successful. Show them the ropes so that you have some longevity with turkey hunting. You know what I mean? You have people that maybe have a little success, or at least engage a bird and have some gobbling and seeing how fun it is talking to an animal like that responds to you. It's like a video game, you know what I mean? Like, if you think about how fun turkey hunting and frustrating it can be. But take those people, those kids, those wives, those girlfriends, the daughters and the grandkids, take them all hunting. We need people to be buying hunting licenses and buying hunting camo and all the stuff that supports the hunting industry and conservation. Because if we don't do it now and get it instilled in this next generation, it eventually will go away. So there's my 2 cents on conservation and prolonging the legacy of turkey hunting.
Yeah, that's right. God's given us some great things to experience in the spring woods, so it's good to share that with other people and let them enjoy what we enjoy so much too.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, thank you, Scott, for your time today. Appreciate you, and hope you have a good time up at the convention, and it'll be turkey season before we know it.
It'll be before we know it. We'll do another one of these next year. Anytime you want to talk some turkey, you get more advanced, let me know, Josh. I'll be game to have a good time and have another conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for this episode. Huge thanks to Scott Ellis for sharing his turkey calling strategies and hard-earned insight from the woods. And if you picked up even one new tactic today, take it with you this spring and put it to work. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a hunting buddy who could use a little extra help getting a gobbler to commit. Until next time, good luck out there. Enjoy God's great outdoors and stay patient and let that bird make the next move. The pursuit is wild. Never stop learning.